Buckle up, cadets. We're going on a journey into the sweet, sweet baby. This fucking sweet baby shit. I hate it. I'm gonna fucking unleash. I hate this shit. And I want everyone to know how much I hate it. I'm gonna get my link out. So bear with me for a moment. Okay. So now you know that's happening. Oh God. I'm gonna get so fucking triggered with this. So Sweet Baby. It's a consulting agency, a narrative consulting agency that video game companies are hiring to make a better product. It's really just risk alleviation, and everybody hates it, and they exist to justify themselves and to terrorize people into needing their services. It's not limited to video games. This is something that expands to all industries. This is something that expands to fucking movies, every corporate environment. There are good things about diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff. You shouldn't harass people based on immutable characteristics, and you should know, and you should teach your employees not to do that shit. But these companies that do this consulting shit go way too far, to the point, and it's actually really stupid shit. It's really just whatever's optically in vogue. I have a speech that we're going to go over, a speech from one of the co-founders of this company. And in listening to her, I'm going to have to pause it a lot because I'm going to be extremely triggered by almost every single sentence she says, which is incredibly vacuous and nothing but a marketing, or it's completely empty of meaning. Just fucking slogans and bullshit. The shit she's actually saying is actually bigoted, and she's literally advocating for like terrorism, or not like military terrorism. She's like, you need to like threaten, you need to be scared, you have to hire us, if you don't, then you're gonna get canceled. It's gonna trigger me. Let's review her lecture first, and then we can look at this Kotaku article, which has started the controversy. The controversy is it's like turning into Gamergate 2. Everything about this company's fucking retarded and awful, and I would say evil. I think it represents something that's gone wrong in society. But it's not a conspiracy at all. It's just corporate ass covering and bullshit. The thing that makes it so disgusting is how in your face blatantly lying it is, and those lies are obvious because they rely on fear to keep you obedient and complacent. Okay, I'm gonna have to pop this shit up. Let's fucking get this shit started. Okay. I just discovered I have work tomorrow at 6 a.m. Who fucking cares about that? Let's go.
I'm Kim Belair. I'm a writer, I'm a narrative designer, I'm extremely nervous, and I'm the co-founder of a little narrative development company called Sweet Baby Inc. We do narrative development in games and kind of beyond, and we try to bring a lot of inclusion, diversity, and new ideas kind of to the industry. So just as a kind of fun fact, last year was actually my first GDC, and I first pitched this talk as part of the program Amplifying New Voices, if anyone has heard of it. Yes. I think it's also kind of appropriate that that's where I talked about this because it's also what my talk is about in a lot of ways. So, hi. For a little bit of background on me, I've been a professional writer for about 12 years, but I've always written stuff. I think that's always the way. But when I was a kid, and I want to start at the beginning here because I think that...
So sounds great. It sounds like she's talking about having a company that does writing.
It's important to kind of give context to the way I learned about representation as a woman of color, and I think the way that a lot of marginalized people kind of get socialized when it comes to topics like this. So when I was small and starting to kind of express myself creatively in either writing or stories or art, I wrote about myself a lot. And I would put myself in... So here we go. Here we start. Okay, so she's now portraying it as if her company is about expressing your true self. It's not. This is a company that you hire to make sure that you have enough representation and shit in your games, and they write in a bunch of honestly horribly written shit. When I say horribly written, video games tend to be not that well written in general because there's a conflict between gameplay and story that happens. But there is a big problem in not just video games, in media in general, mainstream media. Like, for instance, women are written horribly. There's so many of these fucking... women that are written like just cold, emotionless zombies because we want to make a woman be a badass, so we just take away all of her personality and then make her be a badass. There's no real... it's rare to find a good representation of the actual feelings and experiences of someone in one of these marginalized groups. And a company like this is absolutely not fucking interested whatsoever in giving an accurate representation at all. In fact, to give an accurate representation, one that really pulls at your heartstrings, one that makes you empathize with these people, would actually put the company in the game at risk. It would be taking chances. And that goes against the point of hiring a company like this. So she's framing it like she's like some artist, and I'm just it's expressed. No, she's really good, and she has a degree in marketing, as she says later. That's what this is. She's trying to, preempt everything she's saying and couch everything she says. Every fucking thing she says is couched. That's what she's good at. Couched in all these fucking propaganda slogans and bullshit. I hate this so much. It makes everybody so stupid, and it's just like obscene, and it triggers me. It deeply triggers me, but it doesn't trigger me. It doesn't trigger me because... And and I put
It doesn't trigger me because of like my childhood or something. It triggers me because it offends my intelligence and it offends me as a human being, and it's so disrespectful, and it's just it's I find it just generally incredibly offensive. Yeah, we can do that. Let's go.
put my family and people who looked like me in all of these cool scenarios. And I was telling all these stories where I got to see myself, I got to see people who looked like me, and kind of a rainbow of people who were kind of adjacent to me in a lot of ways. And I think it was really neat, and I was really fostered in that. So when I hit elementary school, I think that I was free to tell those stories, because a lot of the stories that you hear in elementary school are about, like, we should be friends with everyone, we should be inclusive, we should preach equality and build communities. And I think this was really, really wonderful. But then I got to high school. And suddenly, for the first time in my life, I got told that the stories that I was writing and the things that I was creating for and about people who resembled me weren't not real stories, and they were not right stories. And this was to the point that I received a list that I'm sure many of you have received that was, here's a list of authors and stories that are legitimate. Here's a list of people and stories that are important. And as you can imagine, they were, mostly men and almost exclusively white. And so...
Okay, so what she's saying now is that she was being told that because she wrote, I wrote about being a black girl, and they told me that that's not legitimate. They didn't fucking tell her that. That's a blatant lie. Nobody fucking told her that. If they told her that, they should get fired. So maybe they did, but that's fucking insane. What she's saying, though, is they gave books and assignments to read that had white men in them. So this is the United States. There's a lot of fucking white men. Throughout the history, there's been a lot of white men. There's like, if you study art history, there's going to be something that happens where, oh shit, most of these artists in art history, are white men. Wow, like maybe we should just get rid of all art. No. Like, there weren't a lot of women artists because we didn't train them to be artists. That was a problem. They were underrepresented. But that's what we got. That's what's there. That's the art that we need to learn from. If you are a woman and you want to be an artist, you're going to have to look at some fucking artwork that men did.
Were the subjects of all of these stories, with a couple exceptions of people who were there to teach lessons to the white male characters, or people who were there to express pain, or people who were there to be the target of some kind of hate or conflict. And if we ever did read, here's a book by like an African-American author, here's a book by a woman, here's a book by a Japanese author, it was for a lesson that was about, this is what life is like as a woman, this is what pain and suffering is like as a black person, this is what pain and suffering is like as a Japanese person. And so through that, and kind of unconsciously, I started to learn that books by and about white men were literature. They were classics. They were important.
Yes, they're fucking classics, because all the classics come from a time when white men were the fucking people reading and white men were the people writing. I'm sorry that history is traumatic for you. Do you want to participate in humanity or not? You are welcome at the table. Let's write about fucking black women. Let's fucking go. I want to read. I want to empathize with black women. I want to hear your story. I want it. I fucking want it.
Important. And everything else is just special interest. They're very, very niche. And then meanwhile, there's like a young me. And all I wanted out of this whole life was to be a writer. And I wanted that so bad that I kind of said, okay, well, what do I need to be legitimate? And I just internalized everything that I had learned. And I did that for years. And I spent like actual years.
Everything I learned, and everything she learned, is that these are white men. That's all. Just
writing about
completely fucking vacuous. She's saying nothing. about what she learned other than they were white men.
White men. Because I thought, okay, I'm making art now. Because I can look at the stories that are being told, that are being held up as legitimate and as classic, and they look like the stories that I'm telling. And for so many years I did this that I think it was probably only in my early to mid 20s that I started to realize that I had internalized this like deeply, deeply uninteresting idea that in terms of narratives and stories, white and male are, neutral and universal. And I say that even...
Yeah, if you live in an area where there's mostly white men who are absorbing the product, who are the fucking people consuming the product, for example, video games, then the default is the majority. That's just a fact.
Even as a woman of color, so while we don't all fall into that trap, I say it to kind of illustrate how easy it is, I think, for us to kind of take on that narrative even as people who are marginalized, even as we're fighting. Because we've kind of created this normal that we all unconsciously follow, and it affects us even as we advocate for change. There are things...
So yeah, if you go to India, the normal would be to be Indian. If I go to India and I'm a white dude, I won't look like everybody else. And I'm gonna have to I can't fucking force them to make more white people appear. I can't force them to put more white people on their fucking commercials. I can't force them to write about white people. If I'm in India, there's going to be stories about Indian people, and there's going to be whatever the fuck. Or at least there should be.
Times, like back in the day, if you'd asked me, oh, are you doing this on purpose? Are you only telling stories that fit the dominant narrative? I would never have said yes. But I think that a lot of people end up doing it even as they're saying we have to do better. And I think that that's actually shown in the way that we manage representation, which we still consider it this like deviation from something that is normal. And representation is this like very, very scary and very uncertain thing.
I want to empathize with different groups. I want there to be really well-written black women main characters. There are not a lot of well-written. There are some. But a lot of the time, they just fucking shoehorn this shit in.
And if we do it wrong, or if we don't
and it's
do
offensive.
it, accurately, or if we kind of take a risk, we might get shouted down, and that fear is enough to stop us. And I think, like, that sucks. And it's such a bummer because it's the only way sometimes that we end up talking about it. We end up saying, we're going to share our stories of microaggressions, which I am going to do today, but we share stories of trauma and of doubt, and when we're dealing with narratives in advocacy, we end up going like, okay, these stories are stirring and they're beautiful, but they're also very sad and very heartbreaking.
If you want to write a good story about a minority, to completely focus on their victimhood and blaming others, talking about microaggressions, talking about how other people suck and how everything around them sucks. It sucks. That is going to be horribly written. It's going to be hard to empathize with them. If you want to have a well-written minority, what you're going to have to do is not just focus on their victimhood. You're going to have to focus on their actual internal struggle. You're going to have to focus on their shittiness, how they are uncomfortable, how maybe they hate the people around them. Maybe they're not a perfect saint that's got like all this bad shit happening to them. That's the problem that we have when we try to write these characters. We want to only focus, we want them to be saints that are just the victim of all these fucking white men. And the characters turn out shit. And this type of company is responsible for that attitude. It's not just in video games. It's a corporate disease that exists to cover everyone's asses, and we pretend that it's virtuous, and we have to lie and like act like it's virtuous, and then people start freaking out about it, and then you got people acting like there's a conspiracy to brainwash us or something, which is not fucking true at all. It's just a fucking disgusting trend where it is risk. They are eliminating risk when they hire these people. They don't hire this company to help write the game better. That's not what they hire them at all. They hire them to eliminate risks in the market, to help expand the demographic, to market the game better.
And I think it's important to do that. It's important to share like all of those painful stories if we're going to actually understand the struggle and convey the struggle. But I think today I'd like to take a moment and kind of...
So all those painful stories, she's referring to all the ways that white men are bad and only focusing on the victimhood. So you're not really focusing on writing a good character. You're focusing on explaining why everyone else but that character is bad, and that is how you define that character. A negative definition. It's fucking god-awful, it's unbearable, and it's insulting.
Assume the best, because I want to assume that all of you are
It triggers the fuck out of me.
Because what I've said so far is already familiar, already painful, and I want to kind of assume that you have sat with that, or if it's not your experience, you've already sat and listened to that in other areas, and rather, I think, than spending the next 15 or so minutes kind of sitting in that pain, I want to share some examples from my own experience, and then kind of discuss how we can do better and find...
Sitting in that pain. It's like she's mocking me.
Different...
It's unbearable.
And more interesting ways of talking about this stuff as creatives and as advocates and as people who overall want practical solutions to these kinds of problems.
But we can do better.
So let's talk
about video games.
To begin, a lot of the work that I do is in narrative consultation and narrative design. And one of the things that I offer as part of,
narrative consultation, narrative design.
My list of services is...
So she's not a video game writer. She consults to help diversify and bring equity to the narrative.
Risk assessment and sensitivity reading.
Risk assessment.
And so recently I was consulting...
Risk assessment and sensitivity reading. We need to make sure we have a nice sensitivity reading for our video game. Sensitivity meaning eliminating risk. So if you were to write a very a character that you can really empathize with a lot of struggle, a lot of turmoil, they're dealing with all the problems in their society. Maybe they are, maybe it's some like Indian woman. She doesn't fit in. There's not a lot of Indian women. And also, she is acting out because she doesn't fit in too. No, that part cannot be included. That sensitivity reading, we're not being sensitive. We cannot depict that because that's insensitive. And so they're going to write a bland character. It's just me dog shit. And it's the opposite. It's just racist. It's the opposite of bringing people together. It's the opposite of allowing for empathy. It makes us stupid. And it makes us all resent this. It makes us all resent each other. She's making us all fucking racist for just for the sake of eliminating risk.
On a project that was...
But I don't think it actually eliminates risk. I think that these people in all of her speech and all this narrative that she's spinning is a sales pitch, and it is a self-justifying thing. It's not reality. Like, I think she's actually literally creating risk. I think it is eliminating risks in other contexts, more other corporate contexts, when you force your employees to do certain types of sensitivity training where, you have to focus on your white guilt and shit like that. Which really, you're forcing everybody to split apart and focus on their differences rather than come together. That is a intentional strategy that companies use because a diverse workforce doesn't unionize.
Dating simulator. And I was faced with like a very simple decision point that the writers were trying to achieve, and it was this interaction between the female identified date and you, the protagonist, and you could customize your gender, you customize your appearance and everything. So the love interest is on a date with you, and they ask you a very simple question, and it's, what was your ex like? Which is a bit much for a first date, but the player can either choose to say, okay, my ex was a good person, but it didn't work out. They can choose to say, I don't know if I really want to talk about that, or they can choose to say, my ex was a monster. And
this is about to trigger me. I know what she's about to say.
The woman on the date with you goes like, yikes. You must be so immature if that's what you're going to say on a date about your ex. Like, you must be not over this, you must be figuring something out. And I think that you lose favor in that moment with that character. And I can see where the design was. Like, I understand that what they wanted to do was just have a very simple question where if you respond, your ex or your date can say, I like that, or I don't like that, or kind of be neutral about it. But I played through that and I realized something that they hadn't really seen, and it's that this question was deeply gendered, despite the fact that they didn't even intend that. When we treat...
She's about to make it worse.
Cis, hetero, male characters as the default, we end up like questions like this. And I say that because while it's a generalization, when we have those characters and they say something like, hey, my ex is a monster, what we're being asked to assume is that that person has a crazy ex-girlfriend. We're being asked to assume that they're being immature, or they might have, a real harpy at home. It's almost like a
Okay, so what she's saying is it's a gendered thing because we are by default assuming that it's a male. So really, that's the only gendered part, is that we're assuming it's a male, and now if we analyze it as if it is a man answering the question, which is what she's saying is the gendered part because we're assuming it's a man, then we're going to, if a man says that their ex is a monster, then that's a red flag. That's what she was just saying. It's a red flag. Oh, there must be something wrong with you. If you were going to say your ex was a monster, that's... But now she fucking turns that she completely reverses what she just said, and she's like, oh, but also no, we're supposed to assume that maybe it means that you have like some evil woman. Which one fucking is it? Is it you just completely changed your mind? You have no fucking consistent worldview here. So is it that it's a red flag for a man to say that his ex was a monster? Or does it mean that his ex was a crazy woman?
Offline a lot of the time. So I asked, hey, what if I'm playing as a woman? Because what I had to explain very delicately was that if I'm playing as a woman and I'm assuming that I'm interacting with a woman and we don't know about my ex, there's an upsettingly high...
She's making it gendered, by the way.
Likelihood that when I say to another woman, my ex was a monster, what I'm referring to was an abusive situation rather than just an immature joke. And so I actually said, you know what though, don't worry about it. We can create a condition for this, because if you respond to that person by saying, hey, my ex was a monster, what if she digs a little deeper? What if she checks and says, hey, is that a pain point for you? Or says like, oh, is that something touchy for you? Or maybe says like, do you mean that as a flippant remark? Because I think that even though, this game is light, it would be a genuinely important moment to be able to express that sentiment in a game. And when I suggested that, the writing team was like, okay, thank you for this insight. And then they just took it away.
So, if it's a woman and they say that their ex is a monster, well, that's not a red flag. It means we need to take care of her and we need to make space for her trauma. The fact that we're not making space for that trauma and that we're seeing it as a red flag is very gendered. Because if women are going to play this game, we have to care about their trauma. By default, we're not caring about their trauma, and that's because it's men. And that's not fair. We need to, she's literally saying that we should treat men worse. She thinks, in her worldview, we treat men worse, and that's justified. And if you want to make it inclusive for women, you need to care about women's trauma in a way that we don't care about men. So she's made it way more gendered and just fucking offensive. Like, fuck you. Care about my trauma. I hate you. You're so fucking sexist. I hate you. You are not somebody I want in my life. You're going to treat me like shit. And you're going to gaslight me while you do it. And you're going to call me an abuser or something.
Nervous, and I think that is the problem that we face when we think of representation as a challenge that we just need to like surmount. We could just like go, nope, solved, we did it, because we took it away and we don't have to face it anymore. But I thought here, this was an opportunity for innovation. Here we had the chance to make a woman who has been victimized see herself in a game, be able to express something to another woman in a game, and kind of actually relate to it. And we had that opportunity, but instead we pulled back because we thought it was safer not to push forward. And after the whole...
So, because we want to make it inclusive to women, if you're playing a woman character, then we need to make space for your trauma, and you need to make it so that women can vent about their horrible experiences with men and how awful men are. Where by default it's just assumed if a man says that his ex was a monster, he's an immature child and it's a red flag. Fuck you. Fuck you. You have proven to me that you absolutely are the worst fucking person for the job that you're doing. You are making everything more gendered. You're making everyone more sexist, and you are forcing these fucking gendered dynamics and stereotypes. It's not about being progressive or inclusive or anything. It's about marketing, branding, and risk. You are playing into everything that you claim is bad. You're literally playing into it.
The thing was done, the team thanked me
And
again.
this is a fucking virus. This attitude is a problem. It's not a fucking conspiracy. The thing that's turning this situation into a Gamergate situation is because there was like a Steam group that was documenting and making a list, compiling a list of all the games that this company has worked for so that people could see it. And some of the people focusing on this were acting like it's some kind of conspiracy to brainwash us all. You can understand why people ended up paranoid. It's not a fucking conspiracy. They are just trying to make money. It's just trying to eliminate risk. That's why they're going to be sexist and play into these racial and gendered stereotypes. It's not a conspiracy. But it makes people insane. And then those people get insane, and then they freak out about it. And then her and video game journalists are gonna, and the video game companies are gonna swoop in, and they're gonna be like, "See, look, you're all fucking crazy. You're all crazy, sexist, and bigoted," and it becomes a Gamergate situation. We need to criticize this kind of bullshit without going insane. She is a fucking bigot, and she is making everything worse. If you want to make a video game, or you want to make a narrative, or you want to do anything that actually pushes equality and inclusivity and acceptance and togetherness and love and understanding, you know what? That's not going to be an elimination of risk. That is going to increase risk. It is going to be provocative, and it's going to go against the grain. It goes against the point of hiring you to do that. To hire someone to do that would be to hire some visionary artist, some artist with a vision of a social message, and you would be taking on a lot of risk. That's the opposite of what you're doing. You're literally the fucking Sith Lord to those Jedi.
Again, and they said, like, thanks so much. You really mitigated the risk.
You're welcome.
And
Fucking
I think that the way that we talk
suck.
about this kind of thing is itself a problem. We need sensitivity readers. We need risk assessments.
Sensitivity reader. These fucking slogans are just so fucking triggering. Like, it just all on their own. Sensitivity reader. Doesn't that just fuck? Not. It makes me think of fucking tarot cards. It really like gives you the image of like someone like reading tarot cards or something. It's like, oh no, you have to trust me. I'm giving you your sensitivity reading. Put your fingers in these electrodes, and while I play this music and I take a reading on your electrolytes or whatever fucking retarded insane bullshit, not reality. And just call it what it is. And call it marketing analysis. Risk assessment is fine. Don't lie to us and give us some fucking marketing scheme bullshit to market your bullshit marketing scheme. Call it risk assessment. Don't call it sensitivity reading. Because what you just described already was incredibly insensitive to men. And you are insensitive to men. The implication that we need to be more sensitive to women is sexist. Maybe we do. But you believe that, oh, it just makes sense that we shouldn't be sensitive to men, and if you want to include women, you're going to have to be extra sensitive to women. Be sensitive to people or don't be sensitive to people. Pick one. Don't treat people different.
And these are, like, again, important services that I literally like list on every PDF that I send out to be like, hey, I can do risk assessment and sensitivity reading. But I think when we
come on down to the Smeth lab for your fucking sensitivity reading.
It seemed like what we're doing is, you know, being very careful, being very scared. We end up just kind of sanding down all the rough edges instead of building something new and building something out. And that means that we feel daunted when we discuss representation because we talk a lot about representation as the mitigation of pain, but we don't talk about representation as a creator of joy.
Oh, here we go. This whole fucking thing about joy triggers the fuck out of me. It's another one of these marketing fucking slogans. It doesn't mean anything. Every time she says joy, my asshole creates a diamond. It really, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Creating joy. Let's try to figure what the fuck that means.
I would genuinely love, just once, to be called into one of these consulting sessions, and instead of being asked like, hey, can you tell us how this is going to hurt people like you, just be asked, hey, what would you like to see people like you do in this game? What experiences can people like you bring to the world of the game that we haven't seen before? What's a cool thing that you want to see from characters who look and act like you? And it's not the way we're taught to talk about it, but I think it could. Because even when we're doing narrative design, we're looking at archetypes every time we want to have a set of answers, right? We're looking, this is what a rebel would do. This is what a jerk would do. This is what a more straight-laced person would do. And I think I would love to start thinking about more like, what option can we make for people who haven't been seen? What can we add that provides a new perspective that we've never...
So really all of that was just replace main characters or replace characters with minorities. That's all that means. So just say what it is. Don't do all this fucking creating joy or whatever. Oh, we need to bring people in to see what would you like to be seen doing in the game. I want to be the fucking main character. I want to be the president. Just say what you're saying is change the race and gender of characters. That's what you're saying. Don't lie to me about it. Don't give me this infuriating creating joy thing. Like, so that I have to fucking wrap my mind around it and like, no, but it's joy. And you're trying to stop me from thinking. You're trying to just let it fucking go right through me without fucking thinking. Oh, but it's joy. I don't want to take away these people's joy. If you want to fucking make the character, I want to see good female characters. I want to see good black characters. I want to see all that shit. I really do. I really deeply want to empathize with people that are different from me. If a game can do that, that makes me feel really good. I want it so fucking bad. That's not what she's here for. She's here for making it so that the woman or the black guy on a completely superficial surface level gets a superficial, oh, I'm represented, and that makes me, it manifests my joy. But those people will not feel heard when you do that. And and people who aren't them are not going to see them and empathize with them. Like, once again, that goes against the mission of what this type of agency does.
Or before. Because I think if we prioritize joy and start to frame representation as, a new form of innovation, rather than as pain avoidance and like surface level diversity, we're going to actually start to win.
So she just this more fucking marketing and fucking. We just need. I need you in your mind to redefine what I'm doing here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to replace the characters with minorities and women. But we're not going to define it. You are not allowed to think about it as pain avoidance. Risk avoidance, because that's my job. She's fucking job is to eliminate risk. Don't think about it that way. Don't think about it that way. You're a bigot if you think about it that way. Think about it this new way I've invented. Instead of eliminating risk, what I'm doing is I'm creating joy. No, you're fucking not.
Or battles and generate moments of actual happiness. So this is kind of all up in the air, but I want to give an example of what these kinds of wins can look like, or at least what they have looked like in the past for me. And I kind of want to say, okay, imagine me now as a player, because this is my go-to example, and it's something that I talk about all the time, and it's the first time that I ever made a black character in a video game. And this is genuinely embarrassing to relate to a crowd of people, but for a really long time before this, when I was offered a character customization screen, I was like, well, I can't put myself in there because that's weird and not what video games are. And so I made some stubbly white dude protagonists, even when I had every option available to me, because I didn't want to feel like I was putting too much of myself.
It sounds like you. It sounds like a you problem.
And it's wild to think about. I just created Nathan Drake, so it was go, explore every game. But anyway, the first time that I actually made a black protagonist was in Mass Effect in 2010, and that felt really, really great. And I know that everyone at GDC has seen a lot about Mass Effect. So many talk about Mass Effect, so I think it's very important. But for anyone who's never played it, I'm just going to give you a little rundown of the first playable area. Basically, your fully customized Commander Shepard has to enter a space station.
That's cool. It's cool to make a character that looks like you, except she's talking about making a black man. I don't know why she's still making a man. You're still a little bit afraid to fucking make a black woman or something. We still got some issues to work out. I had the opposite experience. I was afraid to make a character that was a white man. I did not make a character in a video game that was a white man until I was fucking 27. I'm 30. Okay, I would make fucking black women and shit. I would do anything but a white man. And once I started making characters that looked like me, I was like, wow, I feel like it just feels better for me, because I've spent so much time trying to become someone else. It's like, well, if I just make the character become me, it feels different. I like that. That's perfectly good. I like that. We need to make it so you can, if you're gonna have a character creator, yeah, you should be able to change what skin color they are. What a novel idea. Let's add that to games. When was the last time there was a fucking character creator where you couldn't do that? I don't fucking know.
And rendezvous with two characters, Jacob Taylor and Miranda Lawson. But you meet Jacob first. And for those of you who don't know, Jacob is a black man. He's a Marine. And he's your first kind of like point of contact. So your first interaction with him, you're like crouching behind cover and you're having like a close quarters conversation. And when this happened in the game, it was this really powerful and remarkable moment for me.
Hold on. Mass Effect is a video game about a futuristic sci-fi space society. Excuse me. There are aliens and different species. There's different fucking. There's like humans and there's weird giant turtles and shit. I haven't played any of these games, but I know that much. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that racism is not a thing in a universe where there are a whole bunch of different weird aliens. So, in this Mass Effect universe, it's actually impossible to have a really in-depth, empathetic, understanding or a conveyance of the experience of a racial experience. It's actually impossible because they're not going to have a racial attitude. The us versus them is humans versus giant fucking turtle people that grunt at you and they're weird and smelly and scary and have guns and shoot you. So the fact that her example can only exist if all of the context of racism and all of that is completely stripped, and we're only engaging in a superficial surface level palette swap of skin tone. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to actually make a change and inspire people. And no. It does eliminate risk though, because that's what your fucking job is.
For me, because it was two black characters talking one-on-one, and neither of them is cast as a criminal. They're not a sidekick. They're not a savage. They're not a stereotype.
Okay, I just saw the most insane retarded comment in my fucking YouTube chat here. Ah, yes. The existence of other species negates racism among the same species. Unrelated, how many animal species are on Earth? Okay. How many animal species are on Earth that are considered equal to and have equal and formidable technology that are like from their own planet and can like fight us and be our friend and like can play chess with us and fucking shit we're like basically alone on the planet. Like the closest shit we have is fucking dogs and elephants and shit. It's not the same. We cannot. I love relating to and connecting with animals, but me relating to and connecting to animals is nothing like what it's like for the fucking Sam Fisher or whatever Shepard or what the Mass Effect character to relate to the Turtle Man. It's not the same at all. You're making a false equivalency, and it's stupid. It's mind-numbing. This woman has made you dumb. People like her have made you dumber. I'm sorry to say.
And they're the only two people on screen in this moment talking about something much greater than them. And it was just like really, really, really nice. I left off a really. But I was so happy about this moment that I actually took my phone out to text my white best friend.
Okay. None. Do you understand that internal divisions still exist among invaded human colonies with higher technology, though, bud? Okay. Is there racism in Mass Effect or not? My going out on a limb is saying I don't think there would be. In Star Trek, there isn't. They in a society that has moved that far forward, it is humans. If you want to have that advanced of a society, it's humans. It's just if you are going to venture off and there's fucking into the unknown, in fucking talking to fucking space farts and shit that are fucking strange, you stop thinking about what color the person next to you is. You're like, Okay, but I thought I was racist a second ago, but like, can you hold my hand, because there's fucking space fart that can fucking melt my brain with its thoughts. In the sci-fi shit, racism makes no fucking sense.
And I was like, wow, it was really just cool to see this scene in this game. Can you believe it? And I was halfway through the text when I realized, like, oh, she isn't gonna see that because her shepherd doesn't look the same as mine. But I texted her anyway because I thought, you know what, I'm gonna share this moment of joy for me, and she's my best friend, so she has to be happy about it.
I hate that she fucking
And
threw
her
that in there.
response,
I hate it.
while not surprising, was still very touching because she said, I've never seen that either. And holy moly, that's cool.
It's like that meme, like, oh, it's a black character. It's so superficial and shallow. It's so superficial and shallow. Do you really feel seen, or do you feel like they just made a character, the character, like the main character that you can change their race and, or like, well, all that, like, there's literally no difference in how they're treated at all. It's good to be able to make the character look like you, and that's all good. But you're not really doing anything deep here. You just have a character fucking creator. That's it.
And I told some other friends at that point. I was kind of like excited about it, and they weren't all black, these friends. They weren't all targeted by this moment that I had experienced, but they all felt the same thing when they heard me tell my story, and when they heard that it was a new kind of term, and that the general idea was, holy moly, representation is cool. But in my Mass Effect experience, this is almost an accidental form of representation, because it's something that's a possibility. It's not guaranteed for any player depending on the kind of character and the Commander Shepard that you make.
So if you don't make a black character, there is no representation. Huh. Interesting. I would still argue that when you are saying that the character creator equals representation, you're only representing a fucking appearance. That's all. That's all we're willing to engage with. When I see a white guy character, sure, there's a level of, this person looks like me, I feel like I can relate to them in some way. But really, it's not very deep. It's not very deep. And to actually relate to a character, like, I don't relate to fucking Space Marines. Unless you're going to have to do a lot of work to make me relate to a Space Marine. I'm pretty sure some of the I don't know. I've never played a Mass Effect game. What is it like to be a black Space Marine in Mass Effect? What does that mean for you? Is there racism? How does that play out? How do you feel about yourself? Are all the people around you white? How does that make you feel about yourself? Maybe your voice is a little deeper because you're black. How does that make you feel? Do you have an accent? How do people treat you? These are hard to do well in a video game. But I like these things.
So I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if this wasn't an accident, but it was actually the intention of the game designer?
So what she's saying is, just instead of making a character creator so you can change what the character looks like, you should just make the character black and have no character creator. Fuck you. What the fuck are you even talking about? How is this even risk? So like I said before, it's not actually risk avoidance. It's just this self-justifying ideology it is risk avoidance in that it is woke, and you can scold so it can freak people out, which makes for good marketing. It gets the word out about the game, and then you can scold them and tell them that they're fucking bigots and retards. So there's no risk, because anybody that doesn't like that we made it so you have to be a trans black woman with a giant cock, anybody that doesn't like that is a fucking bigot. And yeah, so you're all gonna fucking seethe over it, and we're gonna scold you, and everybody's gonna hear about it, and we come out on top. Just make a fucking good game and make me relate to that black trans woman. Make me do it. I want to relate. I want to fucking relate, but they're not doing it in any way other than forcing me to play as somebody that looks that way. And you're not going to have any actual, any depth to the experience of that character at all. You're just going to make me play as it. That's all. You're actually going to probably make the character less deep so that you don't offend anybody. It's just gonna make people be more build resentment, racial resentment, and it's just dog shit. And this shit is growing. We need to have an appropriate way to we need to set boundaries with this shit and not tolerate it, and not fucking devolve into conspiracy theories and bullshit. Like James Lindsay, I've listened to James Lindsay in the past. He talks about critical race theory and shit, but he engages with it in such an insane way, and it's so irresponsible and stupid. It's not stupid. It's just so irresponsible. He talks about like he like makes these connections to fucking like magic. And he's like, they have this cult language. When he would go on about the word joy there, I just said it triggers the fuck out of me, and it means nothing, and it's a marketing slogan. He would go into how, oh no, they're actually bringing that word from a historical use of the word joy, and they believe that it comes from this magical bullshit, and they believe in like where it comes from a cult ideology or something, and He's trying to do the same thing. James Lindsay is trying to do this marketing, branding. He wants to rebrand their branding language as some demonic thing. He's just as bad as she is. He's doing the same thing. He's not engaging with it honestly, and he's just making more retarded branding, optics, marketing bullshit, which is the problem. We need to be able to stand up to that kind of thing without being insane.
What if they actually said, you know what, we're going to set out to create a moment of joy in people
no,
who look like...
It's not that both sides are bad. It is that some of the way that gets popular, that people stand up to this shit, the stuff that ends up rising to the top, is insane and bad. A big reason that shit rises to the top is because these people, this woman knows that when she makes the game and she's like, we're going to take away the character creator and make it so you have to play as a black trans woman, she knows that she's going to trigger people, and there's going to be people like James Lindsay who say insane, crazy shit that makes him sound crazy, and he is going to be the face of the opposition that we planned for, and we're going to make anybody that disagrees with us look crazy. It's not both sides are bad. It is that she is bad and he is bad and my side is not bad. So no, it's not that both sides are bad.
Like this, people who feel represented by this. And that I think would be amazing, and it's totally possible for us because these are things that we can actually create.
Smeth, I need you to understand that you sound incredibly fucking dumb right now. Name a single game that has what you're complaining about, or shut up. She is talking. She is right now. This woman right now, in the past, whatever, she just said, she is telling us that we need to get rid of the character creator and force people to play as a black character, because that would be real That would be real representation, not fake representation. So I am responding to what she said, and her job is to do this type of shit in video games. Okay? I don't play a lot of fucking AAA games because of shit like this. So it just because they're just bad. They're art by committee. They tend to be like I don't enjoy narrative games very often for that reason. I like old narrative games. I like old point and clicks. I like shit like that. But anyway. What demand are you making of me? Like you're gonna make a demand of me that's unrelated to what I was just saying, and actually doesn't discredit me. And if I don't do it, then it means that I'm stupid. Fuck you.
As designers and as writers and as creators, and not only are they new, but they're very, very narratively compelling.
You're crying like a loser. You are like her. So yeah, so this shit is triggering, offensive to your intelligence. It's offensive to and demeaning and just disrespectful, racially insensitive. It's sexist. And if I criticize or complain about it, I'm a baby. No, it fucking pisses me off. Why aren't you calling her a baby, huh? Be honest about what you're doing. You're picking a side here. So don't just fucking dismiss me. Get your fucking big boy pants on. Be brave. Don't be a coward. And fucking say what you think instead of trying to fucking dismiss me. There's so much fucking cowardice. Nobody will say what they think. It's a lot of that attitude, I think, is trickling, not all of it, but a lot of it is trickling down from shit like what she is doing, which is a corporate fucking money game. She exists because these corporations want to mitigate risk and they want to make their product they want to market their product. That's why she exists. That's why they have people like her. That's why Amazon hires people like her to give lectures to their employees. That's why movies have shit like this. So I think that a big part of it is the morality that corporations want to define as our morality, and they pay money to tell us because we are their employees or we consume their products. We think that that's like a reasonable morality, but no, it's just the morality that serves them the most.
Ultimately what we should strive for, because the newness of it works not only for those who are, being immediately targeted, but it works for everyone in that group, everyone who kind of receives it and who's never seen this before. Because keep in mind, she exists because of mitigation of risk, right? There's literally nothing wrong with risk mitigation practices, right? Okay, maybe you should restart the stream and listen to everything I'm saying, but the risk mitigation practices are what I am criticizing, and I am going to continue criticizing it, and I do think that there is something wrong with it. There's not something wrong with it if the only thing that you care about is the profit of the company, but I don't think that that's the most important thing. In fact, I think that she's being destructive to our intelligence, and she's increasing racial tension. I think she's making people more bigoted. And because she's claiming to be doing one thing, doing the thing that should be making us more empathetic and understanding of people who are different than us, because she's claiming that this is how you do that, it actually makes it impossible to do that. Because what she's doing is the opposite of that. She's taking that place. And so now people don't know how to actually create art where you're empathizing with another person. This is what we're sold this as that solution, and it's a fucking non-solution. It's the opposite direction. That when it's new for you, odds are they've never seen it either. You're whining like a fuck you. Every time you say that I'm whining like a baby, you are literally self-reporting. And that's a lesson I think that we keep. Tell me what you think. And stop trying to dismiss me like a coward. This one's for you guys. And like this one over here, like you can have it. But we can't keep looking at representation as like we're catering to a tiny little corner or like a direct marketing effort. it's what everyone, I think, or hope wants as an audience.
Damn, I'm happy. Because most people find this shit incredibly upsetting and cringe. So I'm happy that there are actually people in my audience that actually are stands for this shit, because that's not normal. Normal people are repulsed by this. It's offensive on a human level. So it's interesting that I get to actually engage with people that are, completely suckered in. It's like you live your life completely enmeshed with this fucking marketing web. And that's where you get your worldview and your ideology and your sense of right and wrong. I want to fucking cut the web down.
Back, it's not just, I don't just hope, actually. I actually think, okay, we all do want this. And I think, especially...
Yeah, okay, Blue Goop. Blue Goop in my chat says, I don't even know what she's proposing. Does anyone else know? Okay, so she's saying a lot of extra shit. And what she said is, creating joy is replacing characters with minorities. Which she said a lot of shit to say that, because she wanted to redefine it and brand it and market it as something else other than what it is, which is just say what it is. And now she was just saying that we should get rid of character creators and just force people to play as black characters. I wonder how much she charges for this fucking advice.
Room can actively say, yeah, that's what we want to achieve. But then the question is begged, why aren't we doing this? Like, why, when we're talking about it, when we're so enthusiastic about it, what's stopping us? Like, why are we still being told, oh no, that's not what players want? Why do I keep hearing that it's like an uphill battle for people to bring representation to what should be a very inclusive environment of creativity? And I think, there are a lot of answers. There's the fact that, the industry's stuck in its ways. The industry isn't as diverse as it should be or could be. We're all socialized in this society to kind of act against it and to fall into what is normal. And there's like a dozen other...
Okay, so she's saying we need to do what I want, and people don't want to do that, and that means that they're wrong. And she's not done a good job of explaining why what she wants is good. She's saying, well, they're saying that that's not what the players want. Well, okay, are your players white men? Well, okay, well, if we want to make it inclusive to people that aren't white men, maybe we should, I don't see, first of all, I don't see why, if you're not a white man, you can't empathize with a white man. But sure, I do think it's good to have representation. It's good to have characters that look like you, character creator, whatever. Have characters that are different races. That's good. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. It's not a big deal. But you're trying to sell me this fucking joy shit? Fuck you. You're insulting my intelligence. Just tell me you want to replace the characters with minorities. That's all you've said so far. You said that, and you want to get rid of the character creator. What else do you fucking have to say?
Their answers.
How many other times do you want to scold me? She's like, oh, like she's asked. Fuck. Most of what she's saying is designed to create outrage. She's antagonizing me on purpose. It's by design.
All like variations on those themes.
Because if I get triggered as a white man, it means she's in the right. My white fragility. I'm crying. I'm a baby.
A pseudo fun fact about me, that's slightly fun, is that I actually have a marketing degree.
No shit.
And so I want to put on that like...
No fucking shit, you have a marketing degree.
Very mercenary hat for a second and talk about the way that we decide how we're going to sell the art that we make and how we're going to approach the audiences that we make it for. Because I think so often when people like us get told, from higher ups or from society at large, this isn't what players want, it's not a conversation about content, it's a conversation about demographics. And I think that in our industry and in so many...
I want to empathize with characters that look different and have different life experiences with me. I want that. doing a palette swap on their skin doesn't do that. And having and fixating on shit like microaggressions and how white men are bad and how awful it is, how that everyone else is always making these characters feel bad because they look different, because that's also not a that's not a dynamic character, and it sucks. You're just creating a character out of a victim narrative. You're not creating a full character with a full range of experience. Because to create a character with a full range of experience that you can fully empathize with would be offensive. Offensive on the level that it could you're suggesting negative feelings, you're suggesting confusion, you're suggesting internal conflict, all these things. Yeah, that's what real people go through. Black people are not some fucking the thing that you've created is not a real human being. Scold me, mama. Yeah, you're right. Because if the consumers are white men, and if they were to want this, it's what it is. It's getting scolded. Hold on 1 second. Okay.
Industries, if you want to look at film and television and any art form, we start treating our core demographics as a fixed and static value, something that does not want to change and something that is locked in place. So despite like the changing face of audiences, despite the changing face of conferences like this one, we still look at our core demographics and say, okay, they're white, cis, hetero, male.
Okay, if you want to give the game, you want to get the game to people that are different, then you have to fucking get it to them. Okay. You can't. It won't work. It clearly doesn't work if you make all the characters like women. That's not gonna just make women play the game. It's not that simple. It's not as simple as fucking changing the fucking characters. You might actually have to make a different game because women play games less. So if the lexicon of video game knowledge that boys have from growing up playing video games, like a woman is less experienced with that. They are not familiar with the standards of like, oh, there's a start menu and you can, expect to go in there and change the options, and there's the tutorial. I know that I'm in the tutorial right now. They might, if they've not played a lot of games, that might be the case. So it's not as simple as just making, like, if you make good female characters, you're still giving that to men, and I want good female characters, but don't fucking tell me that that's to make women play it. That is a social problem that is far bigger than making decisions in the marketing of and in the marketing superficial level of video game design choices. Airdrop fucking video games in Africa if you want to fucking do something. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Give them PS5s or whatever.
And we cater almost exclusively to them. And the problem is that we don't just cater to them like, here's something that we think you'll enjoy. We cater to them the way that we cater to like a picky baby.
See,
we feed them the same
white men, just like people in my chat were telling me, it's so infuriating that white men are picky babies, and we need to stop caring about them. We need to stop acting like, the core demographic that plays the game. We need to treat them like picky babies. It's like I said before, it is not effective risk assessment. She is creating risk. She is we need to treat the core demographic that plays our games as picky babies. It's not going to eliminate risk. You're creating risk, but in a way where now you can if you can keep scolding them, and well, this is what you're fucking gonna get. So if you want to play the game, you're going to have to fucking deal with the fact that the character sucks a big black dick every 5 seconds.
Thing that we know that they love, and we keep on feeding it. We're like, here you go, you love it, eat this, eat this, eat this, so that then when they get anything else,
what do you want me to eat?
As a picky baby would.
Mommy,
like,
tell me what to eat.
No, thank you.
I want to know what to eat. I want to eat it. I want to eat it.
We've done this so long that
tell me what to eat.
Doing is creating
what do you want me to eat?
An entire nation of picky babies.
Picky babies.
And they make us scared to deviate from what we actually want to do.
Let's go. Tell me
just in
something.
Case these picky babies don't want to play our games.
Tell me anything. Stop insulting me and tell me anything. Tell me fucking anything and stop insulting me. Stop insulting my intelligence.
But I think it's still amazing that I can be seated in a meeting and told that out of 12 characters, we already have one black one, so there can't possibly be a second. I get that way too much. And I once worked on a project where they had an all-white cast, and they expressed their desire, like, okay, we need to mix it up a bit. How about this character's kind of like stereotypically French? So they have a beret, and they have like a striped shirt. And I was like, okay, if you need to do that, can we at least make
problematic
color? And they said, oh no, that would be weird. They're already French. So I want to do better than this. Because, and I don't say that to be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to dismiss all the hate and the abuse in our communities. But I do like to...
Okay, so stereotypes are bad. I can get on board with that. Very profound. Stereotypes are bad because I'm a baby. Because white men are babies. Because the people that play the game are babies. That's what she spent the majority of time saying, and then she throws in stereotypes are bad. Okay, fuck you.
Imagine that when we look at white guys, and there's several of you here, I think that when we look at you, we say, okay, you can't possibly enjoy this. But I think they want also, and maybe you want also, to experience new and different stories. I think we need to step out of this rule that like white men can enjoy fantasy worlds, aliens, sci-fi, monsters, anything, so long as it's through a lens that looks exactly like them.
So what? Am I a picky baby, or do I want to experience things that are not me? Which one is it? You're telling me both. Don't call me a picky baby if you're gonna say the fucking opposite. That because I actually do want to experience people that look different than me. I want to empathize with people that are different, that have different life experiences. I don't fucking want to empathize with someone that looks different than me. I want to empathize with someone that has a different experience than me because they look different than me. That'd be way more meaningful. The fact that their color is different is not gonna fucking give me that experience. Give me something fucking good. Give me some fucking experience. It's all for me, just like you fucking said. It's all for the white guy. Give me you. I want to eat your experience up. I want to consume your experience. But you're not gonna do that.
Because if that's the kind of person that we're always going to cater to, you're never going to innovate. You're never going to change things. You're just going to keep feeding the picky baby.
I just said I want you to fucking innovate.
Continue to try to create art under a system that is going to bar innovation for fear of a picky baby throwing a tantrum.
Innovation.
Really.
Earlier, she used a phrase, one of her fucking marketing phrases to smuggle something in. She said, diversity as innovation. Changing the... Yeah, for sure. We'll call that innovation. We're getting rid of the character creator, adding more black characters. That's innovation. I guess.
Don't think that it's impossible to change this, because as like a woman of color, I have played with and like empathized with a lot of white men. I have played as Kratos, who's like literally white. I've played as Nathan Drake. I've played as Arthur Morgan, and I've loved it. And I don't think it's like pie in the sky thinking to go like, hey, maybe we can invite white dudes to play as other people and experience different things through someone else's eyes. And if they don't like it, we have to start thinking we're not losing, they're losing.
So
and
Kratos does not like have some like white experience. He's like got this experience of like a god. His skin is like red stripes on it. He's not gonna experience life the way a normal like white person is gonna experience. He doesn't even look like a white person. He looks like fucking got white paint on him and fucking red, and he's like buff, and he looks like, and it's not. I don't look at Kratos and think, oh, that's me. I look at Kratos and he looks as different he looks like I think I Kratos reminds me more of Mike Tyson than he does of me. If Kratos was Mike Tyson, it would be just as well. It wouldn't make sense because he's supposed to be Greek, but he's still just as different from me. The person that was calling me a baby in my chat is now, because you don't lift, I just wish, it's fine if you want to do that. The point of what she's doing, you could say that it's creating entertainment by growing animosity and making it so that, normal people who feel like their intelligence and humanity is insulted, get offended, and then you can call them a baby, and then that's entertaining because you get to feel like you're better than me, you get to feel like you're better than other people. And I get it, but it does I don't like it. It sucks.
Losing because we're going to let them stand in the way of our progress.
I am literally better than you, though. Okay.
Innovation. And I think that we need to stop thinking that our core marketing demographics have to define the exact.
We're going on a fucking journey here.
And instead, we start to assume that players do want new stories, and that if we bring joy to our broad audience, it's going to encompass our core audience as well. And similarly, I think we need to get out of I'm glad you're here, but I think it's going to encompass our core audience as well. And bring joy to our broad audience, it's going to encompass our core audience as well. And similarly, I think we need to get out of.
So if it doesn't, so she's both saying that it doesn't matter what color you make the characters. That's all this is about, is changing the color of the characters. That's all she's fucking talking about. One other thing she said was, don't do a stereotypical French guy. No, fuck, yeah, of course. What is this, fucking 2005? That stuff's corny. That shit's corny. Don't just make the characters a different color for no reason. Don't just make them a different color for no reason.
I'm glad you're here, but I think that we need to start getting out of just advocacy tracking these discussions, because ultimately we're seeing representation as this abstract idea. We're seeing it as this weird kind of thing that we can paint over what we're currently doing, but
everything you're saying is an abstract idea.
If we start having these conversations as facets of narrative, as facets of marketing, as gameplay,
you just made it more abstract. Oh, we're talking about what is the word she said?
This weird kind of thing that we can paint over what we're currently doing, but if we start having these conversations as facets of narrative, as discussions, because ultimately we're seeing representation as this abstract idea. Representation is an abstract idea.
Okay, so what is your concrete? Okay, so let's stop thinking about it as creating joy. You are the one who's posited this very fucking mind-numbingly abstract notion for representation, creating joy. You've made it so abstract that my brain is falling out of my skull. Now save me from that. Tell me how we're going to talk about representation in a non-abstract way. Let's bring it back to home, baby. How are we going to do it? What do you mean? I've told you many times already. I know you can't hear me, but I've told you many times already that what you're talking about is changing the fucking color of the characters, getting rid of the character creator, Don't make a stereotype. Okay, I've made it not abstract. See, what can you give me? I'm on the same page. We're working on this project together. Let's make it solid. Let's make it objective. Let's make it fucking scientific. Let's not be abstract. What do we got, baby?
We're seeing it as this weird kind of thing that we can paint over what we're currently doing. But if we start having these conversations as facets of narrative, as facets of marketing, as gameplay, as art, I think that we're actually going to be able to move beyond it.
Okay, so the non-abstract way is to talk about it as a facet of narrative, a facet of gameplay and art and marketing and beyond. Are you trying to make me stupid? Are you stupid, or are you trying to make people stupid? Do you hear what the fuck you're saying? Do you know? Because, yeah, I think when people start struggling, there's something that's been pointed out to me. When you struggle to know the difference between an abstract idea and a non-abstract idea, it makes you a little bit stupid. So you're making me a little bit stupid. You're making everybody listening a little bit stupid.
Because when we sequester advocacy into this one series, what we risk
Don't
is
worry, you got me.
preaching to the choir. And while you guys already know this because you're here, what's old to us can be innovative to somebody else. And that's still incredibly important. Like all of these things I'm saying today, I'm sure you understand, but you can go out into the world now and other people will hear it from you. Because ultimately, I think that is what we need to figure out. It's how to bring these discussions out and make innovations in content like the way we make them everywhere else in our industry.
This sounds so fucking abstract. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. What's old to us can be innovative to someone else. What are you saying? Tell me what you're saying. The person that's been insulting me or whatever, he's like, I don't even know what he's mad about anymore. Yeah, me either, because I don't know what the fuck she's saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. She said so little, and she's giving us all this bullshit. Perfect encapsulation of that is creating joy. As soon as you hear a phrase like creating joy, your fucking antenna should go up. You're like, your bullshit detector should fucking full mast. You should turn your ears on, turn your brain on, and be like, whoa, what is... Because if someone says something like creating joy, they're trying to sell you something, and they're trying to sell you something and stop you from thinking about it, because that doesn't mean anything.
But how do we do that? I think it's one thing in narrative, because honestly in narrative it's a little bit easier to implement because we have the power to go like, oh, we can build choices that consider, marginalized identities and just write them into our work.
But the choice that she already gave at the beginning was to, if you want to be inclusive of women, if you have a woman character, you need to be much more empathetic to her because assuming, because we're going to assume that you're a bad person if you say that your ex was a monster. Because we're assuming you're a guy. And if a guy said that his ex is a monster, he's a bad person. So that assumption is sexist. Not because it's sexist to assume that a man is a bad person for thinking that his ex is a monster. No. That's what she should have said. What she's saying is, no, it's sexist because it doesn't allow us to consider if it was a woman. Because if a woman said that, we need to be kind to her. Unlike a stinky, miserable, wretched man.
We can decide to tell stories that present very rare narratives and representative experiences. And we can kind of work on detokenizing our minority characters.
Well, the example you've given of having an alternative narrative choice does tokenize, and it does. We should be more empathetic to everybody. Or if you want, like for example, in the Witcher universe is really bigoted. It's really racist. It's really sexist. It's really gritty and ugly. It's a great universe because it takes all of the fantasy, fairy tale stuff and it makes it ugly. It makes it gross. Like I like the Beauty and the Beast. The Beast is like, women like it, and you're just like, this is like misogynistic, nasty ass douchebag. You can do that, and that because in a game like that, you are going to see these marginalized fantasy like dwarves and shit, and you see racism. There's a lot of racism in those games, and it makes you empathize with it, and you're like, you feel bad for these characters. You empathize with their experience. That's how you do it. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to do that at all. That's the opposite of what this woman's mission is to do. It literally is the opposite. And it's literally the thing that would accomplish the goals that she claims that she is doing, she is trying to accomplish. Everything she says is double speak. This shit triggers the fuck out of me. The fact that people are deriving their sense of morality from shit like this is a problem.
And so in that way, we do have like a lot of power to actually...
We got to investigate further, guys.
And to work all of these concepts in our material as narrative developers. But we still work for people. And it's another kettle of fish, I think, when it comes to like the structures that approve these choices. And we have to kind of look at them a little more institutionally, because we can write all the stories that we want, but that doesn't mean that anyone's going to buy them, anyone's going to market them, anyone's going to let us do it. So I think I want to use my last section here to kind of outline the tools and the techniques that I use and that my company has used to make representation very much a staple.
So she does a lot of talking about they won't let us do it. There and how she's complaining about all the obstacles to doing what she wants to do, and then she only briefly ever mentions what she wants to do in very unclear, very broad, unspecific terms. Mostly she's talking about, you need to shut the fuck up, especially if you're a white man, and need to let me do what I want to do. If you don't, you're a bigot. That is the problem. She exists to tell you that you're a bigot, and so you can fucking kiss her feet and fucking shut the fuck up and let the fucking black woman tell you that you need to get rid of the character creator and just make the person be black.
Of our offering outside of just the work that we do internally. So first and foremost, if you're in creative development, if you're building a world and a story and you're including characters and concepts that are borrowed or inspired by or based on the lives and the lived experiences of marginalized people, firstly, I would say do not be afraid to create moments that are intentionally targeted and designed to create joy in the marginalized. They are going to appreciate this on a level that...
Okay. Intentionally, how do I make an experience that's intentionally targeted to create joy in a black woman? Besides fucking eating her cunt.
Your core audience won't, but it doesn't mean that you're going to exclude your core audience in doing that. Do not make it so that marginalized people, when they're playing your game, have to do all of the work to create representation themselves by creating that custom character.
Character creator.
And also don't fall into this trap that I think a lot of people fall into, which is they think, okay, don't worry. We can include everyone by making this like single default universal experience that is universally representative.
No, yeah. So I'm glad she's saying that, because this goes to what I was saying before about treating men like shit in the game, assuming that they're a bad person if they are traumatized by their ex. You fucking pathetic, wretched male. But if it's a woman, we need to be kind. We need to be compassionate. Don't assume that we should treat everybody with empathy. No, only only women, only black people, only Asians, only trans people, only fucking people that identify as horses. Those people we should be kind to. We need to make a different experience for them. We shouldn't universalize empathy and kindness. We need to single out these minorities and people that look different, and we need to treat them uniquely. This modern conception, this idea that she's bringing forth, it goes against the ideals of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King did marches. People wore signs that said, "I'm a man," a black man, and "I am a woman," a black woman wearing a sign, "I'm a woman," a black man wearing a sign, "I am a man." What she is saying is they should wear signs that say, "I'm not a man, I am a black man." That's the opposite of the direction you need to be going. You should recognize race. There's a truth to that. You should, to this whole like like the whole white fragility thing, which she's hinging on, she's because she wants to scold people. There's a truth to being honest about our own racism, our own bigotedness, the racial tension between people in any moment. You can talk about it. It's healthy. That kind of thing could be in a game. It could be really positive. It could be really, really interesting, provocative. That can be good. But but that's a two-sided way. When white person starts saying I am aware of the fact that you're black in this conversation. How does that make you feel? And the black person's like, well, yeah, I'm aware that you're aware of it, and that makes me feel weird. And I'm aware of the fact that you're white, and also I'm assuming that you think this about me. I don't actually think that about you, but I do think this about you, and that's kind of weird. Yeah, that is kind of weird. I actually hate your fucking guts because of this. These are the kind of things. It's not just that the white people need to shut up. It's that we need to have an emotional opening and vulnerability and dialogue. The solution that is, the risk alleviation solution that the corporate risk alleviation solution that she represents and stands for is just, whoa, whitey, can you please shut the fuck up? Black woman's talking. Thank you. We've done enough making room for you. Your emotions don't matter anymore. I'm sorry. Down the hall to the left, it's time to get castrated. You're trans now. Let's get back to the fucking thing.
Because usually, all that means, as it did in the dating example, is that you're aiming at your core demographic, and you're probably invisibly leaning towards the dominant societal voice, even if you don't realize it. And if you're in development and you are part of that dominant voice, you're a cis hetero white dude, or
if you're a white dude, shut the fuck up.
Do not wait until the end to call your consultants. Bring them in at the beginning.
Yeah. So if you're a white dude, you're gonna need me. You're gonna call me at the beginning of game development, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You need to stop making choices about this, and you need to listen to me. Shut the fuck up before you do anything. Call us up, and you need to hire us. Because if you don't hire us, well, you're racist and bigoted and misogynist or wherever the fuck. You're a stinky white man.
Instead of asking them, "Hey, is this very racist thing we did very racist?"
Fuck you.
Or is this deeply offensive thing we did deeply offensive? Are you
Fuck
hurt
you.
by it? Ask them what they want to see. Ask them what would thrill them, what would bring them joy. And if you have a team lead...
Oh, I'm sorry, black woman. What would bring you joy?
Put that request to them.
That's so fucking
if you're a creative working in
mind-numbing
for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Okay, so I have had friends that worked in unions, labor unions that represent labor in different communities and shit. These people will get in there, and then they will start giving speeches and shit and saying, you have to hire this professor to do diversity, equity, inclusion. The union is struggling. They don't have money to do anything. They're barely on their feet. If you hire this person, you're going to go under. And a lot of these unions actually go under because these people bully them into hiring them. And so that's the same in a corporate setting. Because what she's doing actually, like I said, isn't actually eliminating risk. It's actually creating a lot more risk. But you're supposed to be terrified not to do it. The risk elimination comes in the form of terrorizing people, telling, no, if you if you're not listening to me, you're a bigot. And anybody that says otherwise, you're a bigot. And you stop arguing, you're a bigot. You're the problem. You're a white guy, you're the problem. So the risk elimination is terror.
Because they have to consider, I say that all out as a joke, but it's actually very, very true, because if you start to consider the people who are player and audience facing and who have to deal with mitigating harm and with keeping the sentiment around their game and their project positive, there's like a genuine value that you can impress upon them with both ethically and financially. You can say this is important. And it's also a valid discussion to have, because if you're working with a very thin narrative budget and you work in AAA, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised or dismayed by the amount of money that marketing can give you.
Okay. So hiring her is going to give you a lot more money because she's going to tell you to get rid of the character creator and make the character black. Maybe that'll make you money because it's going to piss people off and it's going to get the name in the headlines. That's the best case scenario you're going to get. Disregard your core demographic. They're fucking babies. Don't listen to them. Get rid of your character creator. Talk to more minorities. Ask them what's going to give them joy. And that's going to make you money.
If you're not in AAA, and if you're indie or if you're freelance and you're building a budget because you still have
These people tank companies and organizations all the fucking time.
to, and you're writing up a pitch, I would say that you should consider adding the necessary funds for representation into your scope as you would any other item. When we budget as Sweet Baby Inc., we actually add about 10%.
See, this whole thing is a marketing pitch. Any of you retards in chat, like that fall for this shit, you, like I said before, are completely enmeshed in this marketing mindset world. You are living in a commercial. Your whole morality is a commercial.
Of our entire narrative development budget,
selling you a
to
fucking
hire
lie.
Storytellers and collaborators who can kind of help us see where our blind spots are, and if they aren't in this industry, because a lot of the time people are like, uh-oh, they're not in this industry, we can actually bring them in to help as consultants for areas where, like, you know, they can.
So even if I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I don't know how to work in your industry, you still should hire me because you can teach me how to do it, and I'll do it. I'll still tell you to put more black people.
Learning, we can help them learn. They can help us learn. So even if it's just a small part of a project, all parties are going to gain something, and
hire
you're
me.
going to get a perspective you really need.
Hire me.
Next,
or else you're
if
fucked and you're an
communications or
asshole.
You're part of that like scared marketing group. Assume your players want new stories and
don't be
treat
scared.
Representation as a fast.
Don't be scared. This woman is fucking stealing money from you. She's gonna fucking make your product a joke. Best case scenario, she could manufacture outrage. Maybe that'll be helpful to you. That's what you're buying. If she's good at her job, she will manufacture outrage. If she's bad at her job, she won't. That is the only fucking good that can come out of this. If you want to have a what is the word? If you want to have a transgressive and thought-provoking narrative about race or identity, gender, trans issues, she's not the one to go to. She's the opposite. If you want to do that, you're gonna have you have a complete, like, you don't hire her. That's not her job. That's cool. I want you to do that. I want more companies to do that. That's not what this is about.
Of innovation as a selling point. Leverage your game's ability to explore new perspectives. And
someone in my chat says, diversity is easy. Why do they need someone to tell them how to do it? Because she is a black woman. Duh.
There's always going to be a positive impact in assuming this. Finally, if you're a studio building a team, hire diverse creators and pay them. Please pay them. And don't stop there either.
It's
don't
a grift.
Just go into creatives and with, narrative and stuff. Make it across your team because there are a lot.
Progressives are fucking falling for this shit. It's so pathetic. I want more fucking people of different walks of life to be in different fields and shit. That's good. Their hiring of them shouldn't be based on the fact of what color the skin is. Like, if you want there to be more black software engineers, fund education in black communities. Shit like that. That's how you do it. That'll make everybody's lives better. I know so many people, I know so many software engineers that will tell me, like, they'll give you the look and they'll be like, well, we did just get some diversity hires, so the project's going a little bit slow. Because and it makes them really resentful and start to become bigoted when there are people around them that were only hired just because of what color they are, and they suck. You're not making people less racist when you do that.
A lot of unconscious biases in other areas, but always consider the ways that you can support all of your people. So like, don't just put, we need diverse input. Explain how you're going to support them once they're there.
Yeah, because you need them there, because you need to ask them what would give them joy, because that's definitively good. Always, you always have to ask her, anybody that represents her cause, minorities, people of color, women, trans people, whatever marginalized community, ask them what would give them joy. Money, hiring them, doing whatever the fuck, changing the game so that it like has a big sign that says how much they rule, making it so the characters that are black have like cooler dialogue options, make it so that we're more empathetic to women in the game. Give them all like special shit instead of trying to like treat everybody better and creating equality. No, give them like a piece of, like, we need to like they treat them like there's it's an appeal to narcissism. Like it's an appeal to like it's an appeal to narcissism is what it is. It's a fucking grift.
Doing is about ticking boxes or about a veneer of wokeness. We actually have to care about making this stuff. So to close,
how is that narcissism? You need to give me unique dialogues. You need to give the black characters and the women unique dialogue options where the people in the game treat that character better than everyone else, because you need to create joy in my black woman heart. That's how.
For those of you who are marginalized, whatever space you occupy in this industry, and I want you to know that I see you and I recognize you and I'm doing the work along with you. And if I can suggest to you one thing.
Yeah, so if you are marginalized, trust me. I'm going to give you your joy.
That you take kind of a moment to think about times when you have felt seen and representative and share them as loudly as you possibly can.
If you want to feel seen, she's not going to do that. She's going to make it she's going to literally tokenize you. She's going to make them give characters that look like you weird special treatment and add more characters that look like you. They're not going to create a character that really represents your actual experiences and your actual trouble because that would be risky. That would be provocative. It would, because you're not some fucking perfect black angel. You are just like everyone else, complicated. I want to see you. I want to see that complicated stuff happen. I want to see that. That stuff's cool. But she's right. I want to have experiences that are different. I want to have I want good black women main characters in games. Everybody, all these fucking Gamergate types, so they're complaining. No, I just want them to be fucking good. I want them to be well written. I want to actually feel like I'm a black woman. I want, when I play the game, to actually feel what it would feel like to be a black woman. And that's not what it would feel like to be a black woman is not making the character black and then having everybody be nice to them because they're black. That's not what it feels like to be a black woman. That's not what it feels like. It sucks to be a black woman. Yeah. I want that. I want to feel it. I want to see it. I want to play it. I want that. I want to see you. If you want to be seen, this woman doesn't provide that.
And be loud about it. Don't be afraid to ask for more of this and what you've felt and seen already. Because we have to make sure that our tech and our mechanics and our teams and representation are equal parts of our entire project, right? Inclusion and representation are tools for creation and will shape the final product. And for those of you who kind of represent that dominant voice, I want to invite you to be brave and to be empathetic and to open yourselves and your teams to the voices that you haven't heard enough. Because if you...
Well, I think I've clearly demonstrated that I actually want to be empathetic and brave and open myself up to voices. And the way that you do that is not what you were selling.
You do, I think you'll be genuinely amazed by the story.
So stop fucking lying and branding your fucking your narcissistic rift as some type of virtuous, transgressive movement. No. You're not doing that, so stop insulting my intelligence and stop insulting me and stop being bigoted and making people stupid and bigoted. You're in the way. You are in the way. You're in the way. Step aside so we can actually make some powerful art that actually encapsulates these issues. Encapsulating these issues is not creating black joy. The black experience isn't black joy. The black joy experience is just an appeal to trying to appeal to people's narcissism. It's the opposite of connecting with people. It's the opposite of being seen. It's opposite of empathy. Just shut the fuck up and be a people pleaser if you're white is not empathy. It's cowardice. She says that we should be brave. She's instructing us to be cowards. The majority of what she's saying is doublespeak. And she's said very little aside from posturing, branding, and insulting and putting people down. And marketing.
And the new directions that you'll be able to explore together. And you're going to be inviting people into this feeling of representation and empowerment that you have been very lucky to enjoy your whole life. Because I think at the end of the day, what we have to say is that video games are fun, and if we work hard enough, we can actually make them fun for everyone. Thank you.
I think it's probably less fun to be black than it is to be white. I wanna see black people. I want black people to be seen and feel seen. I want white people to be seen and feel seen. I want more empathy. I want more of these conversations. We talk about our biases. I want that. You're selling this to me like that's what you're selling. That's not what you're selling. This shit is everywhere. It's a problem. It's a corporate construct. And I think it's a problem in society and it's evil. It's made people stupid. And it increases racial tension. That's how we should talk about this. We shouldn't talk about this like this is some fucking conspiracy. No. But you don't have to like them. An article came out about this company pointing out how there's a Steam group, like I mentioned before, that is tracking what games they work on so people can be aware of it. Because, yeah, I don't want to... people shouldn't fucking hire them. I would rather the game not have been, even if it's a good game, it's probably a worse game having been worked on by these people. So it'd be good. It'd be good to think about which games they had their hands in. That'd be good to think about that. But there's not a fucking conspiracy. And the article is talking about how people are, their white fragility and all this bullshit, putting down these people who are freaking out, a lot of them being irrational and stupid and conspiratorial. And the game developers that hire them are coming to the video game reporters' side because they hired them. Of course they're going to defend that. It's like if you criticize the diversity, equity, inclusion at Amazon is going to come in and say, like you guys are all bigots because this is the right thing to do. We know what we're doing. They're just trying to fucking union bust for the most part. They don't want to actually provide their workforce with a transgressive, racially inspiring, positive experience, because that when I'm saying positive, like that enlightening experience is not all sunshine and roses for the minority, because to be a minority and to go through these things sucks. And their solution is we need to ignore that because that's scary and that makes people feel bad. That's a completely manufactured narrative. That doesn't accomplish anything. It's easy to sell that to people because everybody wants to feel good, right? Don't you want your joy? Don't you want your black joy for once? But your black joy, your superficial joy is going to come at the cost. It come at the expense of actually being seen and understood and heard. And so the companies, this woman's company, these consulting agencies, the companies that hire them, they are now insulting everybody that's offended by their extremely offensive actions and behavior. And this isn't anything new. That article says that too. Like, people are acting like this is some new thing. No, this is not new. This has been happening for like 20 years. And it's not just the gaming industry either. It's literally every major corporate environment, every major corporate product with any type of narrative or representation. It's all happening like that. This is a trend. It's not some new thing. It's not some conspiracy. It's just corporate bullshit. And it is anti-empathy, anti-art, anti-human. Someone says, since around 1970. Yeah, probably. That's why I kind of shrugged. But like, it probably, I don't really think, the way that happened in the 70s was probably way different than the way it's happened. I'd probably be okay with it. There's a lot of truth to it. That the whole like white fragility thing is fucking awful and insulting. But there's truth to it. Like, you should have these conversations where white people are open about their uncomfortability, I actually reveal their internal racism, your internal misogyny. Like, that's actually cool. That's the cool part in that. They're using that. They're right about that. But that doesn't go one way, and you shouldn't just shut the fuck up and listen. You should have a conversation where you actually empathize and you start to see the world. Like, that's how you actually become equals. And like, if you are just telling white people or telling men to shut the fuck up and listen, it's not going to make them empathize. It's not going to make people feel like equals or fucking connect. You want people to connect. I know I'm so sorry that I'm, as a white man, I'm so entitled to want to connect with you. But I think that the thing you want, if you want to solve racial problems or gender problems, what you are asking for is to connect with me. That's what you want. And I know you hate me. And I know you hate racists. And I know you hate misogynists. But the way that you end racism and the way you end misogyny is to connect with racists and misogynists, not put them in a corner. That's not going to make them stop being racist. It's going to make them more racist. You're appealing to the desire to lash out at these people that don't like you, to sell a product, to make money, and to do things like manufacture outrage. It's all a corporate fucking scheme, not a conspiracy. It's out in the open. It's all marketing, abstract branding, and confusing, and makes us stupid. So this is something that has bothered me for a long time. I'm glad that this controversy has risen up. The company's called Sweet Baby. What a fucking awful name. Let me just say that. I mean, it's just an awful name. Calling me a baby. She called me a baby many times in that talk. The company's called Sweet Baby. It's just so sterile, and everything about it I hate. I'm glad that this controversy came up because this topic really bothers me. And like I said, it triggers me deeply. It's not like it triggers me because it brings out some trauma from my childhood. It triggers me because it's just offensive on a human level. It's offensive to my intelligence, and it is offensive to like my grip on reality. It's abusive. You want me to turn around and spread my ass cheeks and just get fucked so that I can like learn to love black people more because I'm getting fucked. That's not how you make. If to any extent that I don't love black people, I want to connect. I want to have empathy. I want to connect with people that are different from me. I deeply want that. It's cool. That's what life is all about. And you don't do that by fucking raping me and being an asshole. It's just easy to sell that because we all want to be assholes to people that don't like us and they're mean to us and they're racist or bigoted. And white people, it's really easy to sell this white guilt shit to white people because a lot of white people actually really want to get fucked in the ass. They're so guilty and shameful, and you're making it worse. Imagine how The Witcher, like I said, is a really cool universe because of how gritty and awful it is. Imagine if The Witcher was a black woman. Like, I actually think that'd be cool, but not just a palette swap, not just a character model swap. I mean, like, in the universe of The Witcher, she is black. She would be treated like shit. That's how you make people empathize. Maybe she would hate herself. She probably would. She would have a deep sense of shame. Just like all these white people that want to get fucked in the ass. She would have a real deep sense of shame everywhere she went. It would come through and everything. What does that look like? How does that feel? Show me that. How many fucking black dicks do I have to suck before I learn to love black people? It's retarded. That's retarded. It's insulting. As someone who values empathy, connection, it's so insulting. It's so insulting. All right. The Smeth lab is closing. I have work tomorrow at 6 a.m. I have to get up pretty early. It's gonna suck. I have to finish my essay, but it's close and it's gonna be good. Becoming Max, coming to a screen near you. It's going to be a wonderful multimedia experience, and you are going to wish that there was more shit like it, but there won't be, and you're gonna have to fucking come back to me. You're gonna have to beg me to do it again. That's how much you're gonna like it. It's gonna provoke you. You're gonna feel emotions that you never felt before. You're gonna question your life. You're gonna want to make changes in your life. It's gonna change your world, baby. Shaylin's artwork is finished. I'm not going to show you yet, but I got to finish my part. Have a good night.